that have perpetrated a narrative of the criminal terrorists in this country the most are people that served in the Nigerian army at one point or the other. People like Sheikh Gumi.
And others sympathetic to terrorists and bandits to stop their subversive endeavor, saying, and I quote, "A friend of a thief is a thief." Speaking yesterday during an official visit to Maiduguri, the minister said those engaged in acts of terrorism and banditry did not represent any form of regional, ethnic, or religious brotherhood. The warning came as the Nigerian army said it had taken a significant step towards strengthening its manpower development and national security framework with the construction of a new training depot at Amasiri, Eda, located within Afikpo and Eda local government areas of Ebonyi State. Musa explained that his remarks were deliberate and purposeful, not merely symbolic. He stressed that Nigerians must refrain from supporting or justifying criminal activities in any form. He said the warning directly responded to narratives previously advanced by Sheikh Gumi, who had referred to bandits hiding in forests as, and I quote, "our brothers," and suggested that society could not function without them. Musa stated that Nigeria could not defeat terrorism and banditry while dangerous narratives blurred the line between victims and perpetrators. Stories this morning, Rufai, your take.
So, number one, I'm happy that General Musa has come out to say a friend of a thief is a thief. And that statement is very heavy. Because, you see, as we celebrate Armed Forces Remembrance Day, and I pay tribute to all of our great, valiant troops that fight day and night and lose their life on the battlefront, and I call for improved welfare, it is very shocking that those that have perpetrated a narrative of the criminal terrorists in this country the most are people that served in the Nigerian army at one point or the other. People like Sheikh Gumi. So the question we should ask people like Sheikh Gumi is, where is your esprit de corps? It's so easy for you to call bandits, criminals, terrorists, our brothers in the bush, to advocate for their welfare. And when you hear some of his arguments, oh, they don't have water, they don't have this, they don't have education, most parts of Nigeria too do not have that. Most parts of Nigeria too do not have that. Come to some parts in the southwest here and see the deplorable state of the healthcare. See the deplorable state of hospitals. Most villages do not have pipe-borne running water. But they have not taken to arm and criminality and banditry. And I feel very sad this morning because this was somebody that served in the military. So please, General Musa, I don't just want you to say it as words. Match it up with action. Second layer is the state governors, especially our very dear friend that said the position of a governor is so hard for him, and I really feel a lot of pity for him. In fact, I think I'm ready. I can offer therapy for him if he wants, you know, one-to-one counseling. I'll just tell him it is well. In fact, if he gives me, I can be calling him every time and just be, you know, telling him that it is well, don't worry. I know the position of being a governor is too hard for you. But it's so hard that you are negotiating with bandits at the expense of people in your state being killed. And you say you are doing peace deals. And bandits were roaming around every part of your state in a bid to have peace. You even had the unmitigated temerity to send your commissioners to tell us Nigerians that those that have problems with your peace deal, they should shut up while you were trying to negotiate a release for these bandits. General Musa, I think you should add the governor of Katsina State to also your list. Because as far as I'm concerned, those that negotiate with bandits and do peace deals, put them on the list. I think Kaduna too recently had one negotiation, or a peace deal, if my memory serves me, or they've had in the past. Any state that is found wanting, put them in the list. Negotiate and placate and forgive bandits when they are killing our troops. You think our troops do not have a life to live? You think their family members are happy about how they are killed? Then the third layer General Musa should look at are the media spinners. those that come and say, don't profile them. Don't profile them. It exacerbates the conflict. Don't profile them. Don't do profile. Don't mention anything. In a country where they are killing people, so people that are killing people should not be mentioned, should not be named. Oh, so that we will not fall in the path of political higri-bigri. Is that it? These were the same people that say, oh, there's a difference between terrorists and bandits. Bandits, oh, they do this just, no. People that terrorize people are terrorists. These bandits terrorize people, so they are terrorists. So those that come and spew all sorts of media narrative in defense of these people, General Musa, add them to the list. These include commentators, analysts, those that come and talk and do propaganda. They think we do not know their narrative. They spew it and they put it with an air of neutrality and say, oh, I'm neutral in this. I've done my research. They parade themselves as experts. Stop it!
Finally, General Musa, who said that the friend of a thief is a thief. It is called, the technical word for it is aiding and abetting. Section 7 of the Criminal Code of Nigeria is also, a similar provision is also in the Penal Code, which frowns on aiding and abetting, conspiracy, counseling of criminals, and omission. Omission means that if you know that, somebody has committed a crime and then you refuse to report, then of course you are just as guilty as the criminal of the same offense. And aiding and abetting, going about saying bandits and terrorists are our brothers and we need to protect them. They are not my brothers. So I know the ones who are my brothers. You can't just come and say bandits are your brothers and you have to look out for them. Or saying, oh, kidnapping children is not a very serious crime. What the Minister of Defense has said is that, look, people should join the government in fighting crime, whether you call it banditry or terrorism, and should not be talking out of turns. However, I would like to advise the Minister of Defense and his team to walk the talk. It's not rhetoric we want. We want to see people who are guilty of this offense under Section 7 of the Criminal Code of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and similar provision in the Penal Code arrested and brought to book. Maybe that will send a strong signal to others that, freedom of speech, what is called freedom of speech, also has its limits. It does not include reckless talk that will endanger the lives of other people, and you say, oh, it's free speech. You are just expressing an opinion. No, certain opinions are sanctionable. And you listed, Rufai, you listed some people, some characters. You should include the media. You are talking about commentators. Is it not media establishments that give them the platform to come and talk out of turn? But however, the allegation will be freedom of speech, and that all, or the defense will be freedom of speech, and that all opinions should play. But the important thing is to always have the other side and to allow the other views, due respect.
Absolutely. But they also say your freedom ends where my nose begins. So, there's nothing that is ultimate. There are limits and restrictions within everything. Let me continue on the topic of the Minister of Defense and these statements that he has made. I picked out some things that really stood out to me. The first was that specific reference to they are our brothers, which we have heard, of course, time and time again from various players in the space. Now, timing-wise, I think it was important for him to make this statement. Why do I say that? Because we've just heard news over the past few days that the United States has labeled the Muslim Brotherhood groups in Egypt, Lebanon, and Jordan as terrorist organizations. Now, not all organizations, especially here in Nigeria, where we find that there are several different types of organizations that will refer to themselves as, brotherhood and so forth. However, it's now important for us to make that distinction, especially from the state level, that we are separating certain groups that are going about their business from being labeled as our brothers within a brotherhood or a religious organization that may mimic some of the organizations that are now falling under spotlight globally and are now being designated as terror organizations, especially given the fact that we're trying to continue a collaborative relationship with the United States. We are not trying to further escalate, some of the tensions that may exist in that relationship. Furthermore, he said there comes a point where we have to know where to draw the line between compassion and complicity. And I thought this was very important because unfortunately, generally, as a national system, not just in areas where we're seeing terrorism and banditry, compassion seems to be what is pushed above complicity. Compassion seems to be the order of the day, and it has replaced towards these players because they argue that, oh, these players are also victims of circumstance. My father always used to say something very profound. He says, one man's freedom fighter is another man's terrorist. However, in the absence of justice, the narrative becomes blurred. And where can we take this back to? Let's take it back, as today is January 5th, as a system of governance. What do I mean by this? I mean that any systematic situation that causes, especially that has violence at the center of it, has now created a culture where we say that, oh no, number one, we silence them. Number one, there's no justice. And number two, the perpetrators of those crimes are somehow incorporated into the system and placated by various contracts, promotions, positions, and so forth. This trend can be looked at not just in the northern part or middle belt where we're currently seeing an upsurge in insurgency, even if you look at the Niger Delta, where we say, okay, fine, that amnesty was able to placate the militant activity that was happening at the time. But what happened? We brought the militant actors into the elite circle, but the systemic challenges that caused these issues still exist. You look at the issues around Ogoniland at the moment. Have we been able to clean up the actual foundational cause of that advocacy that happened at that time? Now we look at a different part of the country where they are putting forward an argument and they're saying that, well, we have ungoverned spaces, we have groups of people who needed to protect themselves because the state failed to protect them. So why are they being criminalized? Again, you see how this concept or doctrine of no victor, no vanquished, and being used not as a war doctrine, but now being abused as a system of governance and a system of, instead of a system of conflict management, when we are supposed to be moving to conflict transformation. And so as long as we continue in this pampering of people who have gone against the Constitution, who have broken the law, then this culture will go on. And unfortunately, what it does is it protects elites, it expands the elites, but it means that citizens will never have redress. Citizens will never have justice in a system where we say that anybody who has access to violence will be able to be incorporated into the elites and will be forgiven. Their sins will be forgiven and they'll move on. I'll quickly touch on FG, the federal government, and ASU. After 16 years, I mean, I think we're all still holding our breath here when we see the implementation and the rollout. We applaud the fact that the impasse has been ended. However, ASU